G'day viewers, Retro Man here. When it comes to Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, I still have more to say. So today I'll be presenting episode 3 of Retro Man's take on Elvis 2022.
Coming to you from a basement studio somewhere down under, it's the 80s show with Australia's Retro Man. On tonight's show, Retro Man brings you part 3 of his review of Elvis 2022 starring Austin Butler. Well, what are we waiting for? Lights, camera, Retro Man.
Well, that's alright, mama. Yes, guys, Elvis 2022. I'm back for more. This is Retro Man and you're watching the 80s show. And what can I say? I've seen this film once and I'm still talking about it. I mean, this film, there's a bit of an enigma associated to this film because it's 2 hours and 40 minutes and it's one of these things where there's a lot of Elvis in this, a lot of Austin Butler, yet you want even more. So it makes you feel like you want to watch it again to get more. So I've only seen it once and this is my third discussion on this film. And I'm definitely going to watch it again soon, but I will tell you some more thoughts I have about it. Let's get into it now, and let's look again at Austin Butler as Elvis. I mean, this guy really was kind of the perfect vessel for this film. He mightn't exactly look like Elvis, but when he did the 68 comeback special, it was more Elvis-y than ever before. And hey, I think people are saying he's going to be up for an Oscar. Well, he does a pretty good job. But then again, every Elvis impersonator tries their hardest when it comes to Elvis. I mean, this is a guy that Elvis has been in our lexicon for 70 plus years now. And everyone has tried to impersonate this guy. Everyone has tried to bring a piece of him to life. And Austin Butler here, under the direction of Baz Luhrmann, I mean, they do get the visual side of it correct, even though he doesn't exactly look like the King totally, but he's got those mannerisms, he's got the voice, and I think that he does a fair enough job. I mean, it's a good Elvis impersonation.
Well, you may go to college, you may go to school.
I mean, he had the voice, he had the look, and he drove the girls wild. I mean, that's certainly explored. We see Elvis on stage and, you know, those pelvic thrusts, and the women are going wild. That's the thing here. They really dramatise how he drove the girls wild. And that's when Colonel Tom saw this and had the realisation that there's money to be made here. And he has this tremendous effect on women, but he had a tremendous effect on guys too, the everyday male. I mean, we saw Elvis and immediately we wanted to brush our hair like the king of rock and roll. We wanted to be as cool as him. We wanted to wear clothes like him. We wanted that Elvis swagger. I mean, there's a whole contingent of guys, myself included. There was a point where we carried a comb around in our back pocket and we would check ourselves out in the mirror because of Elvis, because of this guy. So I think they needed to do the light and shade there. Yes, he sent the girls wild, but guys wanted to be like the coolest cat in history. So, hey, they might have missed the mark there a little bit. I mean, remember Fonzie, Happy Days? I mean, there's dramatisations in that of these guys with the combs, you know, in their back pockets, and they pull them out and they're doing their hair up. That's because of Elvis. So they could have actually recreated the Elvis euphoria to show the effect he had, not just on women, but on guys. The everyday male was kind of touched by the king of rock and roll because this guy had the swagger, he had it all. He was just this country boy that somehow touched the world. He was rock and roll at its rawest, rock and roll at its infancy. And the Baz Luhrmann film, for all its 2 hours and 40 minutes that almost at times seems like a music video, it does have those moments where it hones in and gives us that, what we need, but they needed to stop for a minute, take a breath, and give us those intricate little things that we know. This is why we fell in love with Elvis and the vibe of Elvis, the swagger, the sound, the hair, the clothing. I mean, they got the clothing right. I mean, Baz Luhrmann's wife is an amazing costumer. I mean, she comes up with these fantastic costumes for these films, and she doesn't miss the mark here. I mean, we're talking probably Oscar when it comes to costume design. I mean, Austin Butler, he looks fantastic in this film. I mean, those shirts, even at the end, the jumpsuits, I mean, it's all great. And the film just needed a bit more heart, a bit more soul, a bit more drama. And I'm going to watch this again because this is my instincts off this first viewing. It just went so fast. And it does get dramatic at the end, don't get me wrong. I mean, it gets more dramatic once the 68 comeback special hits. But, I mean, Elvis was a movie star for 15 years. And we don't get that vibe of Elvis's movie career. I mean, they kind of gloss over it in 1 or 2 minutes. But he was a movie star of a certain magnitude. I mean, they kept making movies because he was a cash cow, but the camera loved him. And he was a good actor. I mean, he was in some terrible movies, but he was so watchable that he gave these terrible movies after a while still a lift. And from here to here, just from the presence of Elvis, he just had to walk into the scene as, okay, now we've got something going on here. So they should have explored his movie career. Like I said, 15 years he was a movie star. Show him on the set. Show him go for his first screen test. Show him interacting with directors. Show him, I mean, he was a guy that wanted to be just like James Dean. I mean, James Dean inspired many as well. Okay? He was inspired to take up acting, in a sense, from James Dean. One of his favourite movies was Rebel Without a Cause, and Elvis really was a natural when it came to acting. And they could have got some real depth from Elvis's movie career. It wasn't all bubblegum. It might have been bubblegum in the latter half of the 60s, but at the start there, pre-Army Elvis, this guy really brought it. And we're talking Jailhouse Rock and, you know, King Creole, and even Loving You. Loving You's almost like a biopic. But that's another story. So, Elvis, 2022, the Baz Luhrmann film, my appraisal is basically, this is a hurricane of a film, 2 hours and 40 minutes, that feels like a music video, an Elvis whirlwind music video, with a sound-alike, a look-alike, and a penguin, Tom Hanks, in the background as Colonel Tom. And it's so fast-moving, so energetic, so vibrant. And then at the end, it kind of gets dramatic, but you think, what did I see? What did I watch? What did I take out of this? Well, what we took out of it is Elvis is amazing. He was one of the greatest performers of all time. We can also take out of this that his music is amazing, and we can take out of this that Elvis did have an effect on the public like nobody before him. That's what he did. He had an effect on the public like nobody had before him. And that is what made Elvis special, and this film does touch on that.
We can't go on together with suspicion.
So that's about it, guys. That wraps up my talk on Elvis 2022 for episode 3. And you know what? I think I might come back with episode 4 and wrap the whole thing up. I mean, I can't believe it. We're moving into episode 4 just talking about this Baz Luhrmann film. But there's just so much to say about this movie. I mean, the good, the bad, the indifferent. And I will be back for more. So please check out episode 4 when it drops. But until then, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. And keep watching The 80s Show because I have more content coming your way. This is Retro Man, living the dream, 80s style. Stay gold.
The greatest show on earth.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang and more exciting than Baz Luhrmann's biopic.
Well, that's alright, mama.
Please subscribe and good night, viewers.